Being in paid media pretty much for a decade, I'm used to clients asking immediately after a campaign launches, well, how many conversions are we getting? And I understand it. This is advertising. People are paying for something. They want to get some return for that investment. However, YouTube ads are different than search ads. Even if they're under the Google Ads network, there's a completely different user intent with these campaign types. So while you may not see conversions directly from YouTube ads, it doesn't mean that the campaigns are failing. They could be serving a greater purpose that is still helping the business, even if you can't see those results within the conversions column. So in today's video, I want to show you what I like to look at to really see if my YouTube campaigns are converting. We're going to look at a lot of the column metrics. We're going to look at some audience metrics and a few other tactics I like to use to really prove the value of YouTube. What we're looking at right now in Google Ads is just a filtered view of only my video campaigns. If we look at the columns that we have on the screen right now, impressions, clicks, click-through rate, a lot of these metrics are ones I would typically want to look at. Other ones like CPC, conversions, while still have some importance with video campaigns, a lot of the metrics that we're looking at right now are going to be more valuable when dissecting your search network campaigns. While I still look at a lot of these metrics when running YouTube ads, these aren't the first set of columns I like to have, because looking purely at clicks and conversions does not tell you the whole picture of the value of video campaigns. So to create my own custom view, I like to go up to columns. Google Ads does have a default option for views, but that one still doesn't tell everything I want to see. So I'm going to go to modify columns. First, let me remove some of the columns that I don't want to see right away. And now I can start going to the middle and choosing a variety of options to add to this particular view. We see in the main performance section, there are options available just for video campaigns. So depending on what's important to you, you can start adding some of these metrics. How many views are we getting from a user? What is the view rate for my video ads? I want to see how long that user is watching, especially if I'm using longer video formats. So in some cases, watch time could be important to you. And then I also added the video played to metric. And when we head back to the main campaign view and run through each of these, I'm going to explain to you some of these even deeper. Next, I'm going to drop down to YouTube earned actions. And I'm going to add all 5 of these. After a user has watched your video and you have paid for that view, or you paid for a click on any of your call to action extensions, shopping cards, whatever, any additional action that user takes, like the 5 actions we see right here, they like other videos, they add your video to a playlist, they share your videos, they subscribe to your channel, or they watch other videos, all of those additional actions are free. So even if the user isn't converting right away from any of your YouTube ads, the earned actions help you assess, are they still engaging with your brand? Are you still getting more value for your campaigns than the initial cost that was charged to get that user's attention? I'm still going to cover earned actions a little bit in this video, but for the most in-depth in-view on our channel, you can check out the video I already created about earned actions. And then I'm going to pop up to conversions and just add a view through conversions. I swap up the order a little bit. This is purely from a preference thing. There are going to be a few other options in the column section which you may want to add, so explore this for yourself. But now I can just click apply and we can talk through some of these columns. Just looking at the new ones I added, we can see how views can be important. This is a number of time a user has watched your video ad. In certain video ad subtypes within Google, your video could appear on more properties than just YouTube. There are display network placements for videos, as well as app placements where your video could appear. So that view or engagement could be in more areas than just YouTube. Next, I added the view rate, looking at the number of views that you get divided by the number of impressions. Now, depending on if it's an in-stream or discovery format, there's going to be some differences there. Because in-stream, the user is watching the video right away. Depends on how long they watch it if it's going to be actually counted towards a view. A view for an in-stream ad happens when someone watches an entire video that's 11 to 30 seconds long. If the ad is longer than that, then they have to watch at least 30 seconds. For a discovery ad, the video doesn't play right away. So the user has to actually click on the video ad to be counted as a view, because that video will then start playing after they get on the video watch page. If you are running unskippable ads, view metrics will not be available. So the views and the view rate section are going to be different depending on the campaign type you're running for your video campaigns. I forgot to reorganize one of my columns. So if we move back to the left a little bit, you will see average CPV, or average cost per view. So this is the average amount you will pay when someone watches at least 30 seconds of your video, or the entire video if your ad is under 30 seconds. Now, if you're adding call to action extensions to your video, or if you're running a True View for Shopping campaign and you're sending people to product pages, if they interact with one of those elements, that'll count towards a view. and those views will be factored in to your average CPV. And typically what we've seen is that the higher you can get your view rate, the lower we see that average CPV. So don't be surprised if your average CPV number does not match what you have set your max CPV at, if that's the bid type you have chosen within your campaign settings. Now, depending on your campaign goals, sometimes I do like to look at watch time. If I'm paying for specific views, how long is that user staying on to pay attention to the ad? I usually like to look at this metric from the ad level, but I still added it here so you know it's an option for you to go back and review. And the reason why the numbers are so long is because this column is broken down by seconds. So when we see numbers in the millions here, you can do the math if you want to break it down into minutes or hours. I'm going to slide over a little bit, and there we see 4 video played to columns. What percentage users made it to the 25% mark, the 50% mark, the 75% mark, and then users who watched the complete video. Another way for me to assess if users are not converting right away, are they at least engaging with my video ads? Of course, we want to see higher numbers towards the 75% and 100%. So these columns can give me a better understanding of potentially, do I have the right targeting options? Maybe if I'm looking at this from the ad group level, which is how I typically split out my targeting, and let's assume all ad groups are using the same video creative, I might find out that one type of video creative does not work that well in terms of engagement for a particular targeting option. I can either decide to scrap that targeting completely or just test different creative for that specific audience. And then from the ad level, I can see, are people dropping off? Do I need to look deeper at the video level, either than Google Ads or my YouTube Studio, to find out, hey, for this particular campaign, users aren't really making it past 50%. What is in my video creative that is causing users to drop off at that point at such a higher rate? And then on the flip side, if you're getting a lot of people to make it to the end, what is causing that to succeed? Can I take that information and add it to other areas within my marketing to help keep the user engaged, to help them remember my brand so I can continue that name recognition, that it just helps the overall business? Next, we see the 5 earned action columns. So while these campaigns were running, racking views, and driving traffic, we also received a few free likes, a few free playlist additions, some subscribers, and a decent amount of free extra views. If you're wondering why that there's a range for earned subscribers, that was a fairly recent change over the past couple of years just due to privacy reasons. For subscribers, if it's under 100, you will see a range instead of the actual value. Now, at the time of this video, a fun way to get around it is to create a Data Studio report. There is an official YouTube template within Google Data Studio, and that one still shows you the actual number. So if someone from YouTube listens to this, they might be like, oh shoot, we got to go change it, but use it while you can. Personally, I think it's a lot easier to get earned action metrics from TrueView discovery campaigns. That's because those campaigns are sending users to the actual video watch page, where all 5 of these actions can easily be done. From an in-stream standpoint, your ad is playing on somebody else's video watch page. So it takes much more effort for that user to seek out your YouTube channel and perform any of these other actions, but we see from here it is still possible. Next, we have the conversions column. I'm going to skip over that and go to the very right where I added view-through conversions. We can see my view-through numbers are higher than each of the conversion metrics. View-through conversions happen after an initial ad impression. The user doesn't interact with the video in any way. That means in this case, they're not watching the ad. They're not clicking on any of the elements. It just gets an impression. And then later that user goes back and converts. So we know from a discovery standpoint, it's just seeing the video ad because they have to click on it to watch it. For in-stream, it's different because remember how views were counted and there were differences? For the skippable in-stream, the user has to watch at least 30 seconds or the entire video to be counted as a view. So if you have a 30-second ad, the user watches it for 10 seconds and skips it, that's not a view. That's still an impression. So if the user still sees your ad, skips it under the recorded view time, and later goes on to convert, that's going to show up in your view through conversions. I've been in several accounts where the main conversions column is showing nothing but zeros, but their view through conversion columns are loaded. That gives us a much better understanding of people aren't ready to convert right away, but keeping our ads in front of users is keeping the brand at top of mind. And it's helping the user eventually get to a conversion point. There are more columns that we can use for our YouTube ads, but I only wanted to show a few of my favorites because it kind of ties into the next section of what I want to show you, of how you can prove value. So to do that, I'm going to hop down to Tools and Settings, and then I'm going to click on Audience Manager. Audience Manager is a section within Google Ads where you can start creating in-platform or start building custom audience combinations from a variety of metrics within the Google Ads platform. And if I go up and click on the blue plus button, we see there are options purely for just YouTube users. You can name your audience at top, but I want to focus on the second section about segment members. If I click on the drop down, we see there are a variety of options that we can use for YouTube video audiences. My first option that I've highlighted, you create an audience off of all users who viewed any video from a channel, people who viewed certain videos. I think these next two are much important of why you're here at the Paid Media Pros channel, the ad portion of it. Audiences off of people who watch any video as an ad, people who watch just specific videos as an ad. And then most of the ones we see on the bottom here are pretty much the earned actions that we talked about. People who've subscribed to your channel, liked your video, added your video to a playlist, shared it. Of course, we had all the view ones at the top. So as your organic and paid video ads are engaging users, are leading to more earned views and earned likes, you can start building audiences from those users. And since YouTube is owned by Google, this is all on-platform data. We're not losing this information. We might see metric reporting change, like we talked about the ranges within the earned subscriptions, but we're not losing that user within an audience. And as you're filling out your YouTube user audiences, you can choose to include the people from the past 30 days, and then you could still max out the audience length to 540 days. We see here the default option is 30 days, but I like to create at least one audience that's going to keep the user as long as possible. And I'm going to show you why very soon. So I'm going to create another audience. Viewed video as an ad, 540 days. I'm going to choose the viewed any video as an ad. My channel is already selected because I have my YouTube account linked with Google Ads. Yes, I want to pre-fill that user. I'm going to maximize the duration to 540 days, and then I can create it. And there we see my audience is building. So when I take over YouTube campaigns for a client, I like to create as many YouTube user audiences as possible. Because if you look to the right, you can see audience sizes for search, YouTube, and then there's display and Gmail. Even though you can't use YouTube user audiences in all of these campaign types, you'll be able to see, okay, can I use this YouTube user audience as potentially an RLSA campaign for search? Can I create an audience off of someone who interacted with my videos before to show them other YouTube videos, to keep them engaged until they get to an eventual conversion, which hopefully you have conversion metrics as exclusion audiences within your video campaigns. Let's pretend we created a bunch more. And I want to hop back to the main campaign screen. I jump to a different portion of Google Ads. If you look on the top right here, you can see that I'm only on search campaigns. And then if we look in the left-hand menu, I am in the audience section. So again, looking at all the campaigns. And then one more thing, you can see that I'm focused just on YouTube user audiences. This means I can filter on the audience type that match the ones that we created within the Audience Manager. So as you're going in Audience Manager, you're creating all these YouTube user audiences. You can add every single one of those audiences to your search campaigns. And if you want to, you can do it just from an observation level. Observation is pretty much bid only. We're not targeting these users. We just want to see if users within any of the implemented YouTube user audiences, are they coming back and interacting with my search campaigns? So if I go down and scroll over, we will get to see people who interacted with my video ads. Did they come back and convert? Did they have a higher or lower conversion rate compared to other audiences or the campaign or ad group levels? This particular account is not e-commerce, but if you are an e-commerce account and you have conversion values set up or any custom ROAS or profit columns, you could potentially look and see, are people in YouTube user audiences coming back and converting? It's just another way to look to see if YouTube is adding value to your other accounts. Is it part of the journey to get the user there to eventual conversion? We need to remember that people go to YouTube to watch videos. You may have a great video, but they may skip it because they're not ready to buy yet. But are you influencing that user's decision? Are you using memorable creative that's going to stick in the user's head, that's going to help them go back, search for your brand name, search for your product names on google.com, click on your text or your shopping ads, and eventually converting? It's exactly why I said when I'm an audience manager, I'm creating as many YouTube user audiences as possible so I can add them as observation levels to every single campaign. It's another way for you to review performance and the impact that your video campaigns are having. And for the last thing I want to show you within this video, we need to go back up to Tools and Settings. And then under Measurement, let's go to the Attribution Report. And I purposely skipped a step because otherwise the whole screen would have been blurred out. But right when you get into the Attribution Report, I went to Top Paths. And then I switched this drop-down menu to show network, because originally in my view, it was showing campaign names. And what we see in red down below is a YouTube video network. That is because in February of 2021, display and YouTube networks were added to the attribution report. Let me see if I expand this a little bit and scroll down. This is similar to how you can view some of these paths within Google Analytics, But now we're looking at it from the ad standpoint, seeing how many times people interact with YouTube videos along the ad journey. And sometimes we're seeing that the journey starts off with YouTube and then ends with Google search. Several times we're seeing that YouTube wasn't the final conversion point, but it was the reminder in between. So we can see in this account, there's conversions, there's conversion value, another report to show to your boss or your client to give a better explanation of the entire landscape of how YouTube can affect your other campaigns. I know there are many other ways out there to look and improve YouTube ads. We didn't really get too in depth. I just wanted to show you the free options that we can already look at within the Google Ads interface, because we need to look at more than just the basic traffic and conversion columns that may be showing up when you're reviewing your YouTube campaign information. Update your columns to the metrics that are going to be important to you, and also keep in mind what video campaign goals and subtypes you are using, because that is going to impact how those metrics are viewed. Build as many audiences as you can, whether you're reviewing that information just on search audiences or using them for next step remarketing audiences, and see if you can tie those eventual conversions to an original source that may have been your top or mid-funnel video campaigns on Google. And last, check out this new attribution report. See where your videos are impacting the user journey. Potentially get information on how you can make adjustments. If you're not seeing much red leading to an eventual conversions, that could give you the information to know what you need to change. Hopefully this gives you a few new ideas for you to go back within your account and test and see what's working for you. But if you have any questions on any of the things I talked about or want additional ideas, feel free to ask in the comments below.
Thanks for watching our video. If you found it useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to see more from the Paid Media Pros channel, be sure to subscribe.